It was announced, was it today or yesterday? No, it's Monday. It was announced Monday that Xbox will be officially raising the price of their first-party games from $60 to $70 starting in 2023. This has been something that we've all been waiting for. Sony did it at the beginning of the generation. Before the generation even started, third-party companies were doing it, like EA and Activision. I think 2K is the one that started it with NBA 2K. So this is not a surprise. But some are criticizing this because Microsoft didn't have anything to announce this year. They're going to be doing it in a year where they are essentially going to, assuming everything goes well, that they're going to have a lot of games that people are going to be looking forward to playing. It's also worth noting that all these games will also, these are first-party games, and they will all be on Game Pass. So that's worth noting as well. Zero, what are your thoughts on Xbox raising its prices to $70 for each first-party game?
Unfortunately, this was inevitable.
Yeah.
Even for someone who has quite liked the fact that Xbox for the last couple of years has kept their Xbox One games at a standard retail price of $60. To see that it's going up to 70 is not really much of a surprise for me. I know for the longest while I had been mostly asking when, because I was just like, this can't last forever. Just, you're gonna have execs look at the balance sheets and go, we're potentially losing out. When is Microsoft going to enforce that? The Xbox brand needs to join the revolution that every other console brand is doing right now, and even PC games as well too that have joined in on this. So for me, just it was definitely kind of that sort of a question for me, where I was just like, yeah, just when is going to happen? And it was kind of interesting to kind of see that the announcement was made yesterday of by next year we're going to start shifting prices upwards. And it was just like, okay, well, that's cool. Sad that the party's over, but here we go.
Yeah. I don't think this is probably revisionist history now, but my feeling is Xbox didn't do this because they knew the past 2 years were going to be light. Like they just couldn't justify having people spend $70 on games when they didn't have much to begin with. I think their biggest releases the past 2 years was Halo Infinite, which had its problems, and Forza Horizon 5. And that was it. So I think that's why they didn't jump on $70 at first. It makes sense now that they're going to have games like Starfield, Redfall, and a bunch of others coming next year is when they decide to bump the price up to 70. And yeah, I'm not happy with it either. I am steadfast in thinking that games shouldn't have even been $60. I think 50 is the max that they should be sold by. And as such, I don't buy new games anymore because of it. The one thing we do have to note here is the games are going to be on Game Pass. So you technically do not have to buy them at 70. You can play them on Game Pass, and then if you really want to own them, you can purchase them at a sale price when they get cheaper. So you can definitely do that.
It's a bit sad to see the pricing go up, but at the same time, I also do agree with your thought that it sounds like Xbox is confident that their next batch of games coming out to Series S and Series X are going to be ones that drive people to start buying into the Xbox ecosystem. And at that point, they'd be foolish to kind of turn away just the minor bit of extra revenue that they get for selling the games at $70.
Yeah. And this also, I think by August of this coming year, I think the consoles will go up in price too. I think that's going to happen as well, because Phil Spencer has said on a podcast or an interview that basically that's not off the table. Like, there is a possibility. And because the way that the consoles are priced, they're losing money on a lot of those consoles. I think I read somewhere that they lose more money on the S than they do the X at this point. I think they're going to raise prices on this console, and since Sony got a little bit of blowback, but it didn't hurt them that much to raise the prices. I think that it's given them the go ahead that it's fine for them to do it. I see that happening as well. The real question, I think, is when is Game Pass going to raise in price? Because if the games are raising in price and the consoles are going to raise in price, bears to mention that Game Pass is going to raise its price too, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I know Phil Spencer has made allusions that there will be a price increase for Game Pass, but he said that it would be something that they would evaluate with time. I believe was what he coined it as. But really, the bigger question is going to be when that time will be. But I know some people have speculated the price increase may happen on individual plans the minute that they debut the family plan that has been in beta testing in both Colombia and Ireland.
Okay.
And that's an interesting thought. I don't know how exactly I feel on it because simply in my mind that just doesn't make sense. Just to keep the family plan at the discounted price compared to the current individual Game Pass plans going on right now, and then to majorly crank up the price on Game Pass. And I don't mean major as in like it's suddenly going to go from like $16 a month to like 50 or something.
Yeah.
But maybe from $16 to $20, and then just if the pricing, if the speculated pricing is to be believed for the family plan, it's going to range anywhere from like 25 to $26, and you'll be able to have a total of 5 family members in a family account. And yeah, for me that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If it's going to be, oh yeah, we're going to raise the individual plans to $20 a month, but hey, we get it. You want to save money, just get a family plan and find 4 friends that want to join you and just pay $25 a month. Yeah, I just don't see that making sense.
And the family plan isn't gated to specific locations. Most times, family plans, they require everybody to be under the same roof. And from the sound of this plan, that's not going to be the case. So you can just basically get, this screen name, this screen name, this screen name, this screen name are on my plan, $25 a month, here you go. My thought process is that I don't think they're going to raise prices. I think they're going to eliminate the lower tiers. I think what's going to happen is they're going to eliminate the just for PC Game Pass, just for Xbox Game Pass, and just make it Ultimate and make it the Family Pass. And that's it.
Yep.
I think that's where they're going to go. So the price will be raised for people who only go for either or. That's where the price increase will go into. And then after that, I think it stays the same. On that point, it's still a good deal. I mean, yes, unfortunately, you're going to end up paying, I think, $5 extra for something you're probably not going to fully use. But on the other hand, it's still a good deal. So I can see that pill being swallowed pretty okay to a certain extent. I think by beginning of not this coming year, but the following year, Game Pass will raise in price. I think that's what will happen. I think that's when the change will happen.
Especially if 2023 ends up being a very solid year for them.
Yeah.
I could easily see a 2024 price increase announcement of, hey, something along the lines of, hey, 2023 has been a great year. We had this major hit, that major hit, all these games that have just gotten just an upswell of people signing up. But, just to support these programs, we're going to have to increase Game Pass's pricing. So, this is what we're going to do in 2024. And, this was a hard decision for us to make, but ultimately it does come down to this. We hope that you'll stick it out with Game Pass because we've got so much more to offer. Just some sort of fluffy PR announcement, maybe third quarter of 2023, if they have just an absolutely solid year just with releasing first-party titles, or just or if they can leverage any sort of great partner agreements with their third-party partners who are willing to publish on Game Pass that end up giving them just an upswell of users signing up just to join Game Pass. So yeah, that's really the only ideal case scenario that I can imagine where they would just instantly just start planning for a price increase for 2024.
Here's an extra question. Does Nintendo do this?
I'd argue that Nintendo already does with the expansion pack plan for the Nintendo Online, especially since they're kind of marketing that as, hey, this is the premium plan for those who are all about games. We've got Sega Genesis stuff. We've got N64 stuff, and by the way, you get free DLC for the following games and stuff like that. So that would be where I'd argue that that's where Nintendo is going. I think right now it would not be a great idea for them to start aggressively pushing that they need to increase the price of Nintendo Switch Online, especially since the main service as it is extremely bare bones. Yeah. Hey, this lets you just get online to play video games. The minute that they start talking about potentially looking into increasing the price for the yearly subscription from $20 a year to something else for individual plans, you're going to start hearing chatter of people going, yeah, fuck this. I don't want to do this. This is way too expensive for barely getting anything. I mean, I get the opportunity to buy some special Bluetooth controllers from Nintendo that have OEM compatibility with the Switch console, and maybe a few promos that I get emailed about, but other than that, it's mostly just focused on just telling me about, just letting me know that I can play online. Yeah, I don't think most people are going to go for it, and it's going to show. And at that point, just if Nintendo were foolish enough to do that, I would immediately expect them to have some sort of PR rollback message to put out and say, hey, we've heard you loud and clear. We're going to back off the prices, but just know that the minute we start doing actual improvements, we're going to start looking at bumping the price up or something.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my take on it.
Do you see them doing $70 Switch games?
Honestly, I don't.
Yeah,
mostly because for anyone who isn't familiar with Nintendo's history, Nintendo in the past, before they got into video games, they were a playing card and toy manufacturer, and they've always kept that sort of toy maker spirit about them, and they don't really quite see video games as sort of like just this piece of just entertainment that could be monetized as a service, kind of like what you see with both Microsoft and Sony. Yeah, just with how much Nintendo games are quite beloved by children of all ages and everything, I just don't see them jumping aboard on the whole, hey, let's jump on the $70 trend, even though our console is considered an antique by most people at this point.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. The reason why, well, I don't know if they're going to get away, I don't know about getting away with it, but the reason why Sony and Microsoft can do this is because they are considered new tech when it comes to the console space. The Switch isn't. Switch is now, I think, 5-6 years old now, and we're expecting them to announce in a year or two their new console at this point. So for them to start saying, oh, by the way, Switch games are $70 now, I don't think would fly. I think it will happen when they announce their new console. I think that's when they'll start saying, oh, and by the way, new games are $70 now. I expect that to happen. But I don't think it's going to happen for the Switch. I think to a certain extent, Nintendo will drop the prices of their games. I think they'll have their, not the new games, of course, but I think they'll start having their Player's Choice lineup coming up, and then maybe ARMS will finally be dropping in price. That might be nice, because for some reason ARMS is still $60. Like, that's fucking nuts. But yeah, I don't see Nintendo raising the price anytime soon. I think that's next generation to that point. Thank you for listening to this podcast segment. The Capital Games podcast is done every week, and we post it on all your favorite podcast apps, as well as segments on YouTube. If you want to listen to another segment, you can listen to a new one right there on the screen. We also do a movie podcast called the Capital Games Movie Club. If you'd like, you can go ahead and click on that and see all the movies that we have reviewed from that point. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.